All right, there we excuse me. A little allergy thing taking me this morning. Hold on. Excuse me. All right, now that we got that out of the way, welcome in. It is the High Noon Stream. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, just about noon, noonish, noon 01, noon 03, whatever. Sometimes noon 12, whatever. Doesn't matter. This is the first of two streams that I do every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform, radiomisfits.com. The second one, Pugs and Parker with E, that comes on at 9 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday. That's 9 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday. This one, Monday through Friday at noon. The difference between the two shows, you're probably asking, it's a big difference. First of all, this is just me. This is 2 hours of me going through the newspapers. That's basically what this is. This is if you want to know all the things that are happening in the world and get little itty bitty hot takes from somebody who, probably shouldn't be offering hot takes, this guy, then this is what you watch. I try to provide you a nice little 2-ish hours. We do it about 2 hours every Monday through Friday. I try to provide you with a nice rundown and a cheat sheet for all the things that are happening in the world today. Here's what we don't do. We don't get into divisive politics. I don't care about blue. I don't care about red. You all suck, okay? We don't do that nonsense here. There's plenty of other things that you need to be briefed up on and know about without, your level of concern depending upon how you voted. We don't do that here. Here is how the show works, though. I like to tell you all about today. That's the most important thing. But before we get into the trending topics, the current events, the headlines, whatever it is, before we get into all of that stuff, I like to bring you, previously on this day in history. So we go through some of the big events of history, things that occurred on this day throughout time. Then we talk about some of the people who were born. We celebrate their contributions, and then we mourn some of the people who have passed on this day as well. So after we get through with the previously on, in this case, it would be April the 11th, previously on April 11th, after we finish that, then I feel, anyway, that, I've got some kind of an understanding at that point of what this day has meant in the past. And then we just charge right through that wall. We just charge right through the wall of today, and we learn everything that there is to know about it. I'm going through some allergy things. If you watch this show, you know that it's just going to go up and down, up and down, up and down for the next couple of weeks. And then I'll be fine for like 4 or 5 months. And then they'll come back again when the weather decides to change. So bear with me. I got a cough. I got a tickle. I'm drinking like hot tea water. Not even coffee. It's tea. Ugh. And I refuse to take those pills. I have these pills that I take, but they make me a little bit wiggy, and I lose track, and I don't like it. I don't like the way I feel on them. So I'm going to muscle this one out, folks. Hi, Dustin. Dustin's here. Leslie's here. Jeff's here. April, Byron, Whitney, Al, everybody. Come on in. Join the chat room. Pull up your beanbag chairs. Join hands in your circle of love or whatever it is. All right, what do you say we get into the show? It is high noon. For, as I said, the 11th day of April. 4/11/2023, year of our Lord 2023. It is, what is it? The 101st day, right? Is it the 101st? It's the 101st day. You know how I know that? Because yesterday was the 100th day. Stands to reason. Today would be the 101st day of the year. 264 days remain until the end of the year. Excuse me, hold on. I'm going to turn my mic off when I have to clear my throat because of that damn thing. What's Information Day? What does that mean, Barney? I don't know what that means. Was that a shot? What are you taking shots? You taking shots at me because I've got limited vocal capabilities? Can't fight back? You see a weakened opponent and now you're going to strike? Fine, Barney. Be that way. All right, let's talk about some of the things that happened on this world, on this day, in this world, throughout time. We call it previously on April the 11th. Previously on April 11th, 1876, the benevolent, easy for me to say, the benevolent, I can pronounce words, I do words good, the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks is formed on this day in 1876. I don't know what the Elks are. I mean, I don't know where the Elks were everywhere when I was growing up. Every town had an Elks club. It was like an Elks lodge. Every town, if you went down by the railroad tracks, there was a VFW hall, and then there was like an Elks lodge. Maybe a Knights of Columbus, maybe even some kind of Moose lodge. I don't know the difference between the elk and the moose. I don't even know if the moose is real now that I think about it. Is the moose one of those television fraternal orders? Here's what these are. These are weird. I've never understood that. I understand. I understand that like certain men gain personal confidence from being in a group and subscribing to a group way of acting. That's fine. That's fine. I'm an only child though. I've never really been like that. So I'm pretty much confident in my own right. So I've always looked down my nose at fraternal organizations. And I should say, wonderful times in college. All of my friends were in fraternities. I had great times in fraternities. Going to fraternity, but it was never like anything that I could. If somebody like the stuff that they went through in fraternities, just like as far as like oh, this is just part of the game, like being woken up with ice cold water dumped over your bed in your dorm at like 2 a.m. and then dragged out to a field. It's all just part of pledging the girl. I would have fucking fought a guy. That's not anything that I would ever even know. I'm sorry. Yeah, great. Good bit. Go get the other guy. Not me. I don't know. They seem to make a lot of excuses for some things that I, as an independent observer back in college, would go, that doesn't seem right. And then they'd be like, but Bobby says, and since, whatever. Anyway, wonderful guys, successful guys. I understand it in the professional world, how having, acquaintances and networks and all these things can certainly help. It just wasn't ever my thing. And I don't mean to condemn the people whose thing it is, but, I don't need my confidence built up by team behavior. I just don't. But I'm broken, and I think we know that. So what are the Elks? The Elks are like one of these groups. Okay, first of all, they were racist. The history of the Elks started because they wanted to watch minstrel shows. You know what minstrel shows were? Minstrel shows were like the shows where white guys wore blackface and imitated black people, and then a bunch of white guys laughed at black people. And they're like, that's so funny. And they wouldn't actually have real black people because they didn't want to be that close to them. So it was a real racist organization from the beginning. And then it's all this He-Man, women hating stuff. You know what I mean? Like, no ladies allowed. These clubs are all just excuses. Save for the VFW. The VFW, that's some legit shit. Those MFers went through some stuff, and if they want to get together and chug beers and talk to the shit they went through with the only other dudes that went through it that can understand, fine by me, man. God bless the VFW. They do amazing work in the community. But all these other bullshit groups, they're just excuses for dudes, and they're all somehow wrapped up in Christianity to some extent. And this is what I think is going on here. I think that normal dudes, they go home to their wife, they've been married for 10 years, they work in the steel mill. And we're going back to the 50s and 60s, that kind of thing. You work in the steel mill, you go back home to your wife, and it's just like, geez, Edith, you want to get away. So what do? They go to the tavern. And, most of the dudes in the community are at the tavern, and that's their frat. That's their group of dudes that they hang out with, the guy at the bar. But then you got these bullshit like Christian people, right? And then they're not all, I don't mean all Christian people are bullshit. I just mean that this is sort of a workaround in the system. See, this man, he's in the community. He can't be seen at a tavern on a Tuesday night. So he goes to the Elks Club and gets shit-faced there, where he can still walk around as a good God-fearing Christian. That's what these fraternal organizations for grown-up men are all about. See, you got me worked up. I didn't think I had that much hatred for the Elks, but here you go. Born on this day in 1876, the Elks. Byron says Lions Club. No, Lions is different, though. Isn't Lions based on community, what do they call that? Like community organizations, like it's businesses. Chamber of Commerce, isn't that what Lions Club is all tied? See, some of these, and by the way, they do great work in communities, all of these things. But you can do great work and also be a complete sham of an organization. I mean, most shams of organizations do great work to cover up the fact that they're a sham. It's called misdirection. I don't know. I just know, like,
Like, what were Fred and Barney? What was their deal? Fred and Barney, they were in the water buffaloes, right? Was that water buffalo? What was Ralph Cramden? Remember in The Honeymooners? He was in one of these groups. I don't know what he was. I think that was a made-up one. Anyway, on this day in 1876, the Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks is organized so that they can watch minstrel shows in peace. That's literally how it was founded. Oh, I know. I read this rant that I've just gone on. This isn't just completely off the cuff. I read stuff about the Elks this morning. Oh, I did. I don't like them. They're weird. They're a bunch of weird guys. On this day in 1945, previously on April the 11th, on this day in 1945, World War II, American forces liberate the Buchenwald concentration camps. I was having this conversation, somebody, the other day. It concerned Kid Rock. You know, Kid Rock blowing up all the Bud Light. He said he made a video, got a whole bunch of clicks. That's what it's all about for him at this point. But we were like, what? Why did he do that? Like, what was it was for clicks, right? We're like, that's all. It was just for clicks. I mean, he doesn't really care. He couldn't possibly, care about this. He couldn't possibly be offended. As he stated in the video, he's offended by the choices offended, really? And my friend said something very wise. He goes, I'm just really getting tired of the luxury of offense. Can we all stop being offended by shit? Being offended by shit is a luxury. It's a luxury of a soft, pampered society. And he said to me, he goes, do you think that the Jews in concentration camps under Nazi Germany were offended by the behavior of the guards? Oh, because I'm sure the guards were doing some real offense. No, they didn't have the luxury to be offended. It just reminded me of that. So stop being offended. I didn't mean to. Look, it's a great day. American forces, 1945. We rolled into Buchenwald. We freed them. But man, everybody, I'm gonna destroy a pallet of Bud Light because corporate. What? Really? That is such a white man elitist. Not even white man, but just a money elitist, comfortable Western luxury to be offended by such nonsense. I don't know. Were the people of Czechoslovakia, were they offended? Were they pearl clutching when them Soviet tanks rolled through their schoolyards? I don't know. How offensive. How offensive, sir. It's all manufactured. We're not actually offended. None of us are actually offended. I can't remember the last time I was actually offended by something. I mean, I've seen images that have been disturbing, and they've offended my sense of what's right and wrong. But nobody has ever said anything with just words offensive that I've gone, what? That's a luxury, man. Being offended is a luxury, and we do it for self-serving purposes. Look at me, I'm upset about something. And yeah, I used Kid Rock as the example of this. It ain't just the right, it's the left and the right. Everybody's offended by everything. You're all a bunch of snowflake pussies, every single one of you. Jesus. Sincerely ask yourself right now in this moment, it's just you're just sitting there, sincerely in your head. Try and remember the last time you were sincerely offended by something. And I'm not talking about had your feelings hurt because somebody told you a truth that you didn't want to hear. That happens all the time in life. That's a whole different thing. But the last time that somebody said something about, we'll get specific, another group, not even you, another, and you were offended for them. Bunch of moral scoreboarders. That's all this is. I'm offended. You know you're not. Stop it. This is causing all the problems in the world. Everybody's being offended all the time over everything. That's a luxury. That is a luxury, and we need to stop it. All right. On this day in 1968, President Lyndon B. Johnson signs the Civil Rights Act of 1968, prohibiting discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of housing. This is interesting. Boy, do you think black Americans were offended before this day in 1968 when it was perfectly legal to just get together with all your banking buddies and go, don't give any black families mortgages. We don't want to ruin white neighborhoods. Because that's what was going on. That's completely what was going on until 1968. Why can't they own their own homes? Why are they always living in these apartments? They're all shit. Because they couldn't get homes until 1968. Because we're, as a normal guy, me, my generation, my family got here 3 generations ahead. And I think they were able to buy their first home in 1940 something. So maybe even earlier than that. But so a big day, man. People, we don't learn about that in school. We don't learn about that kind of stuff in school. I never did. I never learned that, Here's what I learned. And in 1968, Civil Rights Act was passed. And we all went, yay! We learned nothing about the nuts and bolts. Here are some pictures of some police dogs attacking some young black protesters. Yay, civil rights. We learned all about it in American public schools. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. You have to go off to college. You have to go off to college where they take deeper dives into minutia of history. And then what happens? A whole bunch of kids come back from college on Thanksgiving of their freshman year, and they start having conversations about this new stuff they're learning with Dad, and then suddenly, liberal college. Stop it, Dad. Stop it. Just because you didn't learn that stuff. There is stuff that happened. Hell, one of the most significant historical moments in this country occurred with the Tulsa riots. I didn't even know about the Tulsa riots. I'm a grown-ass man. I didn't even know about the Tulsa riots until like 5 years ago because it just wasn't taught in school because it was just not something. That's a big, major societal story that was chosen to not be taught to children between 1940 and 2010? I don't know. We don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know. Actually, I should say everything that I know about the civil rights movement, I did not learn in school. I learned through my own curiosities as a person growing up in, schools. And I don't hate teachers, by the way. I love teachers. I love me some teachers. Teachers, man. You want to shit on teachers? Fine, go ahead. But just understand they are the last line of defense, man. Teachers are the ones making no money. They're overworked. They're understaffed. They have no materials. They're buying their own shit. They're going out of pocket. And teachers are the enemy. No, man. Teachers are us. Teachers are all of us. Ugh. What they have to put up with. No, I'm not saying that there isn't massive corruption on school boards and that there's not all kinds of nuttiness going on in, supervisory positions and all that. Sure, that's politics. That stuff happens. I think the teacher's fault that our school system is failing. And it is. It's failing. Our public school system is failing. More on that. Over beers. We'll have beers and I'll go off about, my thoughts about the public school system. Having a kid in it. Having a kid who's dominating. I love my kid. My kid is brilliant. And based on his school, right? He's never gotten nothing. He's never not gotten an A. That is a statement I can make about my 13-year-old son. Straight A's, 4.0 plus, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm very proud. But I don't know. What's the competition like? You know what I mean? Is this like Hollywood in the 40s? My kid is smart. My kid is naturally smart. His mother is brilliant. So I knew that he was going to be okay, but you know what I mean? What is the quality of the Plano School District education? It takes nothing away from being proud because he can only exist in the vacuum that he's in. So he's dominating there. So good for him. Let's see. What are we at? 1976 on this day. Previously, on April the 11th, the Apple I computer is created. The Apple I, 1976. It seemed about right. I don't know. The first one, maybe, I guess. Didn't we learn the other day that Microsoft was formed in the 50s? No, not the 50s. It's formed in the early 70s, way earlier than I thought it was. I don't know. I didn't get online until 1998. Moving on. Let's see here. 1986. Oh, this was a big one. 1986, the FBI Miami shootout. You guys remember this? This was a major turning point in American law enforcement. How we react to things. Well, first of all, do you remember? Okay. In 1986, a gun battle in broad daylight in Dade County, Florida, between two armored car robbers and pursuing FBI agents. During the firefight, FBI agents Jerry L. Dove and Benjamin P. Grogan were killed, while 5 other agents were wounded as a result. So anyway, there was a time, like if you watch old-timey TV shows and stuff, and even from the 1970s, there was a time when you saw a police officer and he had a gun, and that was like really intimidating, but there was nothing else intimidating about Officer Friendly. Dude was wearing a shirt and tie. Cops used to wear shirts and ties. Cops used to have little, like, tie pins that clipped to their shirts. Cops wore hats, silly hats, but they wore hats, and it was a part of a uniform. They wore black shoes. They didn't wear cross trainers. They weren't wearing yoga pants and cross trainers and Kevlar from ankles to forehead. No, they weren't. Cops dressed a certain way. And most importantly, cops used revolvers. They used, slow-handed revolvers. It was this incident in 1986 where the FBI found themselves completely outmanned by the firepower that the criminal element had acquired. That pretty much now, it's why we see the modern-day police officer looking nothing at all like Murray the cop from The Odd Couple, right? Remember The Odd Couple? Remember Murray the cop? That's what they used to look like. And it was because of the events of this day in 1986 in Miami that federal law enforcement, everybody went, okay, we need semi-automatic handguns for all of our police officers. We need to get rid of these stupid revolvers. And maybe not so much a jacket, coat, and tie as, ankles to forehead Kevlar, because that's what cops look like now. Cops, and it's because of the events of this day, or greatly influenced by the events of this day. On this day in 2021, 2 years ago, Dante Wright is shot and killed in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota by Officer Kimberly Potter, sparking protests in the city when the officer allegedly mistakes her own gun for her taser. I don't remember how this turned out. I remember this one. I remember this was the most complicated of the officer-involved shooting. What do you mean complicated? Complicated because this is the one that was clearly an accident. A totally avoidable accident. Maybe an accident that was caused by an over-aggressive tactic. Maybe. But it was still an accident. She didn't intend to shoot and kill Dante Wright. Remember, this is the girl who thought she was grabbing her taser, and she accidentally grabbed her gun, and instead of firing the taser, she fired a couple of shots into Dante Wright as he was sitting in the front seat of his car. The narrative with the police and, police-involved shooting issue, the narrative is that, or the narrative that a certain element of society wants to believe, is that cops hate black people and they're just hunting down black people. And I'm not saying that there are not racist cops, because there are. I know cops. I've heard cops say things. There are. But that's not what most of these situations are about. Most of these situations are about frightened cops. Most of these situations are about cops on edge, put in a position where maybe for a moment they legitimately fear for their lives. That's not to say that fearing for their lives is legitimate in the moment. I'm saying they feel they are. Okay, you can't account for human emotions. You can't account for poorly trained professionals. You can't account for any of this stuff. But so that's the narrative, that there's these cops out there who are just killing people. And I don't believe that's the case in most of these. However, that's not to say that I don't believe that a lot of these cops are doing things that end up in the death of somebody that could have been stopped. Some of these cops, look, I look at all these cases one by one. Some of these cops, I'm like, that dude's got to go to jail. The dude that was on Floyd's neck, that dude's got to go to jail. Chauvin, that dude's got to go to jail. The Mike Brown cop. I don't care if Mike Brown was a thug. I don't care what he was doing. I saw that video, and I got a problem with it, and I think that cop deserves to go to jail. There was another one. I don't know, but there's also been cases, I try to be fair about these. For crying out loud, I was all right with Kyle Rittenhouse getting acquitted. I was fine with that. So I hope that over the course of us taking on these stories, that it's been pretty clear that I look at them for what they are and try to block out all the narratives. But this case was complicated because first of all, I don't know if she was a racist or not. All I know is it appears from the video that I saw that this was a poorly trained cop who made a really bad mistake, a fatal mistake in the most important moment of Dante Wright's life. That's what I know. So what do you punish? How do you punish that? It's an accident. Can you prove intent? I don't think you can. I don't think you can prove intent that she was like, I'm going to kill this black boy. I don't think you can prove that. I think, again, the original narrative that all cops are out there hunting black people, I think that if you believe that narrative, then yeah, it's easy to go there. But come on, man. She was obviously freaked out when it happened. I mean, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. I don't remember what happened to her. What happened to her? Texas Highway Patrol still wear the old style. Barney says, no, they do. They do. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what happened in this Dante Wright case, other than Dante Wright died. All right, so maybe I should. All right, fine. What happened to Kimberly Potter? I think she was convicted. And I think at the time I went, yeah, glad I'm not on that jury, because that's a difficult one. On April 11th, 2021, Dante Wright, a 20-year-old black man, was fatally shot by police officer Kimberly Potter after a traffic stop and attempted arrest. After a brief struggle with officers, Potter shot Wright in the chest once at close range. Wright then drove off a short distance, but his vehicle collided with another and hit a concrete barrier. Officers administered CPR, but were unable to revive him. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Potter said she meant to use her service taser, shouting, "Taser, taser, taser," just before firing her service pistol instead. That's on the video. I believe that. I believe she was poorly trained. I believe she wasn't equipped to handle the emotion and the chaos of the moment. Not everybody should be cops. I told you I know a lot of cops. Grew up around a lot of cops. You know who knows that not everybody should be cops? Other cops. Other cops talk about it all the time. So maybe she shouldn't have been a cop. I don't know. Who's to say? Well, the family of Dante Wright, for one. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I just got a... apologize. All right. So that was 2021. So that concludes our previously on this date. Should we get into all the things that are trending today? Should we get into that stuff? Why not, right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. Oh, geez, look at this. We're way behind. I'm sorry. I was distracted by a text that I just got about something I'm doing later. We got to do birthdays. That's right. Okay, born on this day, Anton LaVey, 1930, American occultist. He founded the Church of Satan. He wrote the Satanic Bible. He's like the Satanic Pope. Weird guy. Interesting guy, though. Read the Wikipedia page. He's the devil. No, he's not. He was doing a bit. The guy was doing a bit his whole career. He figured out a way to make money. He looked at evangelical preachers and he went, what if I went the other direction? Stop it. He's the devil incarnate. Well, okay. First of all, there is no real devil. That's all just some little fable that was created to make sure that we all stay in line. Right? Don't be bad. The devil's watching. We do the same thing with kids. It's called Santa Claus. Santa's watching. God's watching. It's all the same thing. So there is no devil. Anton LaVey was not evil. Evil, I mean, I consider true evil on this planet to be graft and corruption and, greed. So he was that. He was all that stuff. So there you go. Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan and author of the Satanic Bible, born on this day in 1930. Dead on this day in 1997. On this day in 1932, Joel Grey, born on this day, American actor, singer, and dancer. Now Joel Grey. You may not know who he is. He's a Broadway song and dance man. He's very flamboyant. You get where I'm going with this. Joel Grey is Jennifer Grey's dad. You know Jennifer Grey? Oh, I had the time of my life. Dirty Dancing, Jennifer Grey. Yeah? Ferris Bueller. Ginny Bueller. She's Jennifer Grey. She's a Gen X icon. Well, she's Joel Grey's dad or daughter. Joel Grey's her dad. Which is fine. They seem to have a night day. I don't know if they have any relationship, actually, but they probably do, and it's probably lovely. Joel Gray's a gay man who was married to Jennifer Gray's mother for like 35 years of her life. He wasted her life. Why don't we ever call people out of because he couldn't live his life. He was a hero. He's a hero in the 1950s. He couldn't live his life, so he got married and he had a family and had a kid. He's not a hero. He's not a hero. He's hero from one very myopic perspective, sure. From, maybe the Allies' corner or something like that. And that's fine. He's a hero. No, he's not. He's a man who knowingly ruined the life of another woman who thought her husband was in love with her. That's who he is. Not a hero. I'm not going to speak to how Jennifer Grey was raised. I mean, she was raised by a showman, and she became a Hollywood star. She's a Nepo baby. She's like, 80s version of a Nepo baby. So I don't know. But I just always think about this Joel Grey. Actually, I think about this whenever I hear these stories. He had to hide who he was. And he lived in shame and he had a family. Dude, that's not heroic. Okay? That's not. Heroic are the dudes who lost their entire careers because they did come out. Okay? That's heroic. You don't get posthumous hero medals for doing something that is. You were gaming the system. All these gay men who married women in the 50s because they had to. And, they had families and they weren't really the most present husband. They sucked. They married women who maybe in some cases women understood. For instance, Cary Grant married Barbara Hutton for a short period of time. They had the same publicist and... let's just say both of them couldn't be public with their real romantic lives, so they got married. So they were married. So that's different, though, because that's something that used to happen. Publicist would find a lesbian actress and a gay actor, and then they'd sign them both, right? And they'd say, okay, so we signed you both, and now you're dating. So now you're going to go to all the appearances together. And that's what it was. But Joel Grey, don't even with me, Joel Grey. You ruined that woman's... Oh, here's a quote from him. In January of 2015, Grey discussed his sexuality in an interview with People, stating, I don't like labels, but if you have to put a label on it, I'm a gay man. Grey writes about his family, his acting career, and other challenges of being gay in his 2016 memoir, Master of Ceremonies. You ruined that woman's life, Joel Grey. You ruined her life. You wasted her best years. She could have been in a loving, caring romance with a man who actually dug her. Not you. You wasted 35. You used her up. Hero. He's a hero. Peter Riegert, born on this day in 1947. Peter Riegert, he was Boone in Animal House. Remember Boone? I liked Boone. Boone had an interesting way of speaking. I liked Boone. 1972, born on this day, Balls Mahoney. That's right. We commemorate the birth and death of Balls Mahoney every year, a couple of times a year. He died in 2016. Balls Mahoney was a wrestler. Never heard of him. Love the name. I guess it's available now. So I guess now when I check into hotels, Balls Mahoney. Born on this day in 1980, Mark Teixeira. Texas Ranger legend, New York Yankee. Is he a New York Yankee legend? Yeah, maybe. I think he got a series ring with the Yanks, probably. Teixeira, born on this day in 1980. Born on this day in 1987, Joss Stone. Joss Stone. She had like one minor. Who is Joss Stone? I don't even know. I've been to a Joss Stone concert. I don't even know who she is. I don't know who that is. Whoever she is, she was born on this day. How about some people who died on this day? She was born on this day in 1987. How about some people who died on this day? These are the people who died. Joseph Merrick died on this day in 1890. You know who Joseph Merrick is? No, probably you don't, because for some reason, history has recorded him under a different name, which is John Merrick, the Elephant Man, ladies and gentlemen. The Elephant Man we know is John Merrick, and his real name was Joseph Merrick, and they can't explain. They don't know why this happened, but just all of a sudden, like 10 years after his death, people started reporting that his name was John Merrick, and then it got written in. But his real name is Joseph Merrick. He was the Elephant Man. Oh, my God. The Elephant Man, 1980. Remember John Hurd? Oh, God. I shouldn't have seen that movie in 1980. But I did. 11-year-old me watched Elephant Man. And then Hollywood was like, they're digging ugly people. And they made Mask. Remember Mask with Eric Stoltz? That came like a couple of years after Elephant Man. Oh, God. I saw Elephant Man once in like 1980. There's never any desire to see that again. I don't need to see that. First of all, look, I'm not putting anything on anybody else, okay? Joseph John Merrick, the Elephant Man, 27 years old when he finally died. How did he make it that long? I mean, he must have been suffering from all kinds of other things. I mean, I'm talking about severe depression. How do you not... you know how he died? You know the Elephant Man died? He had, his entire life, he had to sleep sitting up because his head was too big. His head was constantly growing like a big giant balloon head. They couldn't figure it out. It just kept growing and growing and growing. And then one day at 27, they believe that he was so desperate for some sense of normalcy and to be like other people that he decided to lay down and go to sleep like a normal person. And he broke his neck. He broke his neck laying down. He broke his neck trying to sleep, trying to lay down. Good Lord. How is that allowed to happen? I don't understand how that's allowed to happen. You could take that any way you want. I don't know if that... Poor guy. What a way to live. Oh, my God. Do you think the Elephant Man had the luxury of offense? Do you think the Elephant Man would be doing Instagrams right now going, I know, but again? You think he would do that? I don't think John Merrick, the Elephant Man, had the luxury of being offended. Oh, but we are, aren't we? Oh, yes, we are. Dead on this day in 2007, Kurt Vonnegut, American novelist. I like Kurt Vonnegut. What do I know of Kurt Vonnegut? Short stories is basically how I know Kurt Vonnegut. Like, I remember reading Welcome to the Monkey House in college, which is a collection of Vonnegut short stories. He's probably best known for Slaughterhouse-Five. You know, that would be like, but that's a full-on novel. I don't think I could even name another Kurt Vonnegut novel. I know he put out a collection of short stories. He's so great with short stories. Anyway, Kurt Vonnegut, dead on this day in 2007. Dead on this day in 2013. And here's a guy. My best John Madden. Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters, American comedian, actor, screenwriter. Genius. One of the all-time greats. Oh my God. Jonathan Winters just got... I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I remember Jonathan Winters, especially after Robin Williams became a big star. Once Robin Williams became a big star, he was like, I'm rediscovering Jonathan Winters. And he brings Jonathan Winters out to everything. Jonathan Winters was not funny. I'm sorry, he wasn't funny. He was amusing, but why was he amusing? He was amusing because he was a certified lunatic. He had all kinds of mental problems. You know, his career was in and out of stall mode because he would have to be institutionalized for, months at a time. Shock treatment, all that stuff. He was manic. He was creative. Jonathan Winters never had anything prepared. I don't think he did. Didn't seem like he did. He just came out and went and started doing all of this stuff. All of the same shit that made me despise any late night talk show appearance by Robin Williams. I hated it. If Robin Williams was on The Tonight Show, I'm like, nope, can't handle it. Because it's just going to be like 10 minutes of him going, ooh, I'm like, oh, God, stop it. Jonathan Winters was like that first. And I don't think, I'm telling you, man, I don't think Jonathan Winters was funny. And I don't think anybody who's laughing at Jonathan Winters is laughing at the humor in the way that they laugh at other comedians' humor. I think Jonathan Winters scared people. I think he was so close to the edge. I think he was so right there on the precipice of complete that, you watched, and it was awkward watching. Like, have you ever seen, we'll move to Robin Williams, who used to do the same bit. You ever go back and watch, like, some of those 1990s or 80s Robin Williams talk show appearances? They're not funny. It's that we don't know what he's going to do next. So we're all ginned up and waiting on any. So we're like that already. But it's not actually funny. It's actually just, oh, look at this. Oh, microphone. Oh, it's like stupid shit. No, man, he's brilliant. No, man, that's brilliant. No, he's not. No, that's throwing a million jokes out there at once and hoping one of them lands. That's what that is. That's cheap. That's just... Anyway, happy Death Day, Jonathan Winters. I never got you. Here's what I do. I like Jonathan Winters in Mad World. I don't know how many Mads there are in that movie. There's a lot. I like him in that. I didn't like him as much as I like Dick Shawn in that movie, but I like Jonathan Winters in Mad World. Dead on this day in 2017, Jay Giles, American singer and guitarist. Jay Giles Band. Love the Jay Giles Band. They were just a bar band. They're just a Boston bar band. That's all they were. And then you know what happened? Their singer, so Jay Giles is the guitar player. Peter Wolf is the singer. Jay Giles is the guitar player. It's his band. And it was, one of these 1970s Boston bar, blues type band. Jay Giles Blues Band is what they were called. And then there was this radio disc jockey in Boston named Peter Wolf, who started jumping up on stage and jamming with him. And then Peter Wolf joins the band. And, so now they're a bar band in Boston with a popular DJ as their lead singer. And ladies and gentlemen, my angel is a centerfold. Freeze for 11 albums. Jay Giles Band put out 11 albums, man. I'm guessing that like the bulk of their success came probably within like an 18-month span between, although no, they had Love Stinks in the 70s, which was like a hit, right? Sort of a Love Stinks. And then there was like a couple of years after that. And then they hit with Centerfold and Freeze Frame. Oh my God, that was the big one. Jay Giles, guitar player, leader, founder, namesake of the Jay Giles Band, dead on this day in 2017. All right, now that's going to do it. Now we're all caught up. Is that a question, Frank? Frank's like, Michael Jackson owned the Elephant Man bones with a question mark. I don't know how to read that. I don't know. Is that real? I don't know what's real. I don't know Michael Jackson. It was a rumor. I remember that being the rumor. Barney says it was funny on Mork and Mindy when I was 6, but the joke got old. Yeah, Jonathan Winters, he was introduced season 2 of Mork and Mindy as Mirth, the child of Mork and Mindy, which even me at 7 years old, 7, 8, whatever I was, even back then I had a real issue with that. I did, because I knew where babies came from, and I didn't see how Jonathan Winters could come out of Mindy, Pam Dauber. I didn't see that working. And then they never really adequately explained it, other than to say that on Orc, babies are born at full right. They de-age. Yeah, whatever. It was stupid. It was so stupid. I don't even know that I liked him at 6 or 7 years old. I think I felt he took away from Mork. I loved Mork. Don't get me wrong. Mork was my guy. But yeah, I think the introduction of Mirth, Jonathan Winters' baby Mirth, I think the introduction of that kind of, didn't like it. I'm doing whatever I can to avoid the first story here. Let's get into what's trending today. These are all the issues that people are talking about. We try to be non-divisive. We don't go deep into politics. We do talk about all of the other things that you might find interesting. So let's get started with that. The first couple of stories are always the real bummer ones, so we got to get into this. Louisville is trending. We are now learning more about the shooter in yesterday's Louisville bank attack. Oh, man. I always tell you about the categories, right? So I got category 1 for these mass shootings. Category 1 is just violence. It's just gangbangers or, ex-husband, sees his wife's new boyfriend, whatever, those kind of things. There's that. And then they clear them all and it's an active shooter. So there's that category. That's going to happen. That's crime. Then there's category 2. Category 2 is, Mr. I hate the world. I'm just gonna slay people. That's your Las Vegas shooter. That's your Batman Begins shooter. That's honestly that's a large part of the shooters. Box 2, right? So I have that box as well. Then yesterday I talked about sort of an old school box. which is the going postal box, where now we see these shootings and it's like, okay, well, is this just violence that was going to happen anyway because violent people are doing violent things? Is this somebody who wants to take the world down with him? Or is this just somebody who got fired and he wants his boss to pay, right? So those are the three boxes that we established yesterday. Yesterday, we kind of put it in, I don't know where this is going. The more that we are learning about Connor Sturgeon, a 25-year-old, educated, good-looking, good home, college graduate, working in the financial sector in a place that he always wanted to work at, where he interned for 3 years. There have been reports that he was either fired on Friday or had learned over the weekend that he was going to be fired. Okay, so we know this. University of Alabama grad, standout athlete, good looking. His brother is apparently a pretty successful male model. Dad was the coach, pillar of the community down there right across the river in Indiana from Louisville, where this kid grew up. But here's some interesting stuff. And this is where I say, like, so what is this? Is this a new box? Or are we just making excuses for him because he's a 25-year-old white man? What is this? This dude apparently had a lifetime of pretty severe head injuries. You know, we talk about the NFL football players and the CTE and all this kind of stuff. So this is not an excuse. This is what's being reported. This is a whole new thing that we have to consider now, because we pay some attention to mental health, right? Where it's like, well, he's just crazy, or, you know, he's schizophrenic and he's not getting the help he needs. That's something. But what about mental health that isn't just a I shouldn't say deficiency. What about mental health that is caused by, you know, head injuries or head wounds? Because that's a very real thing. Very real. We know that's real now. We know CTE. Now, CTE isn't just caused from playing middle linebacker for 10 years in the NFL. CTE is caused from people who fall and hit their head at 15. CTA is caused from kids who get thrown off their skateboards. CTE is caused from, you know, people like me who fell down steps and then a year later had the top of his head taken off and skull crushed in a car wreck, right? CTE is caused, we're discovering it now, in humans, it's caused by previous head injuries. We used to call them little head bumps, little concussions. NFL football players, like in the 60s and 70s, they used to brag about the amount of concussions. Oh, he's a tough son of a bitch. Yeah, that guy died alone in his car, nude, right? I mean, you know, that guy had some serious head injuries post-playing. So this kid's head injuries were to the extent that he was like an all-state Indiana basketball player. He played for his dad, Connor Sturgeon, the shooter in Louisville. Played for his dad. Dad was the head coach. He was an all-state basketball player. He played every single game in a helmet. Have you ever seen a basketball player wearing a helmet? I don't think I've ever seen it before until I saw these pictures and these videos of this Louisville bank shooter, Connor Sturgeon, playing his high school games in a helmet. So apparently he had a number of fairly severe head injuries. Now, it also says that in recent months, he had begun to suffer from depression, and that he had told people about his depression and all this kind of stuff. So now the question becomes, doesn't excuse anything. He's a fucking monster. Okay, the act that he committed, he killed a mom, man. He killed a mom he killed a mom with grown kids and a grandbaby on the way, and he killed a dad with 2 little babies. This fucking guy is a monster, okay? But we need to be able to look at these situations for all of their complexity. He is a monster, and he's never going to see he's dead. But it is interesting that we might be seeing a 25-year-old who was in the middle of, you know, a lifetime of paying the repercussions for a head injury that occurred 15 years ago. And this is a very serious subject for me, because I've always had some form of melancholy. That's what one of my therapists said. Sounds like you were, from birth, you were melancholy. I'm like, not really. But one of the things that we discovered about my depression and why I started to see a therapist 20 years ago, 20 God, it was right when I first got to Dallas, so 23 years ago almost. And the reason I started to see my therapist here in town was because I had great health care for like the first time in my life, but also, I knew what depression was. I had been self-studying on my own and I wanted to learn about it. But anyway, one of the things that we learned from her was that although I probably always had a degree of melancholy surrounding me, and there were certainly instances in high school that can be, well, yeah, you were probably not in a great place here and you didn't have the tools to deal with it because you didn't know what was happening and you just thought this was expected of you, so boom. So that. But also the fact, later in life, my depressive spirals have gotten worse. And we discovered 15 years ago, they're like, well, you've had major, the work, and we were talking about CTE and all these things. Yeah, I mean, I've had a number of concussions in my life and serious head injuries. I fell down steps once when I had a broken ankle and I banged my head off. I ended up in the emergency room with a concussion and all that kind of stuff. Then, like a year later, I had my car accident where I went through the windshield of a car and the brain was the least of it. I thought I could have died from all the other injuries. But, so here I am, a man in his 50s who has had significant injury to his brain in his younger years. I mean, not in 30 years. I'm pretty good, pretty safe now. But I do sort of deal with those. There have been changes in my depression over the past, say, 10 years that I know how to deal with them. I know how to deal with them really well. Just don't worry. Don't worry. I got it handled. But there have been a depth, a deeperness, a darkness, and you can't explain it. You can't, nobody can articulate exactly what it is unless they're speaking to somebody who also goes through it. So anyway. But yeah, we drew a direct correlation to the deeper depression and the longer lasting spirals to the fact that I knocked my head around when I was a little kid, Now, knowing this and recognizing this and, then having the tools to handle it, those are all great things. I'm not even at a point where I've never even been prescribed drugs. I mean, it was earlier, but I didn't like the drugs, and so we went off them. So, I'm fine. I say this only as a way of looking at the story of this 25-year-old kid who just snapped, and he's a monster. He went to the monster side. There's no denying that. But what are the causes of these things? I still kind of think this might be a postal thing because he barged into a conference room before bank hours. He knew there was a pre-bank opening meeting of top executives. So that's still the postal thing. But man, he wasn't crazy. It's not like he was schizophrenic and didn't know what was going on. It was that possibly he had serious head injuries. I don't know. Good looking kid, I mean, how does this, so he loses his job at 25. He's got a master's degree in finance from University of Alabama. Not a bad school, pretty good school. It's not Eastern Concordia State Tech, right? It's the University of Alabama. Hell, he can move back to Alabama and get a job at a bank with a degree from Alabama, So what was it about this kid? He's good looking. He seemed to have a social life. He's an athlete. Good job. I don't know. What is it? What is it that caused him the specter of losing a job at 25 years old? He made a decision. And why did he make that decision? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. So that's the latest. 25-year-old kid with, Patrick Bateman, dude. Seriously. This is in the American Psycho. This kid could very well have been the American Psycho. The initial reports are that he's not, though. The initial reports are that he's just a wonderful kid, a perfect kid who just snapped and decided to take a whole bunch of people out with him, which is the ugliest, most selfish way. Look, if you're gonna spiral, if you're gonna go into a depressive spiral, get as far the fuck away from people as possible. That's a you thing. I say this as somebody who's been in depressive spirals. That's a you thing, man. It is on you to manage your crisis. Ain't nobody gonna want to get involved. They're not gonna understand it. So just get yourself out in the middle of the woods and sit there. And if you need to take that drastic op, you do it. You don't take anybody with you. You You will go from a sad sack to an absolute monster if you decide to take somebody with you. So just watch yourself. All right, so that's the Louisville shooter situation. We got that. Also trending today here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as we do this show from the One Percenter compound. High atop the beautiful Highland Park, Loma Alto neighborhood. Murphy, we got a story here out of North Dallas. Do you see this? This happened in Murphy, up there in the north suburbs. Not a whole lot of information available just yet, but it is a pretty big local story. 3 people have died after a shooting at a home in Murphy. Murphy's a nice little suburb, nice little brand new suburb just north of like Plano, right? It's up there, Murphy. I don't know, everything's up there. Police and paramedics were called to the scene in the 400 block of Whisperfield Drive around 6:15 Monday evening. There, a 57-year-old woman was found in the driveway of the home, and a 63-year-old man was found inside the home. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect, a 35-year-old man, was taken to Medical City Plano after a self-inflicted injury. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. City manager Mike Castor said there is no threat to the public. All right, this is all the information we got. This looks like a 35-year-old son who murdered his mom and dad. Isn't that what it sounds like? They don't go in. The suspect, a 35-year-old man, he killed himself. So he killed his mom in the driveway, he killed his dad in the living room, and then he tried to kill himself, and he failed. And, oh no, he did fail. He didn't fail. He was taken to the hospital where he eventually succeeded. So there you have it. That was yesterday. That was last night right here in Murphy. The DNC, we don't do politics, but this isn't politics. This is about a party. The DNC has announced where the next Democratic National Convention is going to be, and it will be Chicago because what? Really? Chicago. In 2023, you're going to bring everybody to Chicago. You're going to bring everybody. Oh, my God. Because Chicago holding Democratic National Conventions doesn't have enough of a history. I obviously wasn't at 68. My mom played a role in 68. She got caught up in the 68 stuff. The Democratic National Convention in Chicago where the riots all took place and all that stuff. I was there for 96. I was working in radio in 96, so I covered the convention for the radio station. I didn't go for the primetime shit. I didn't want to do that. But I'd be like during the day and stuff like that, I was poking around and interviewing people. Found myself in a room with me and 3 other people. I was secluded for a good 5 minutes, alone in a room, a small room, maybe like like a green room kind of a thing. I was secluded in a small room at the 1996 Democratic National Convention with me and 3 other people. One of those people was a publicist of some kind. The other of those people was a security of some kind. And the third of those people was friggin' Aretha Franklin. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I spent a good 5 minutes with Ms. Franklin, and I called her Ms. Franklin, and I thought that was pretty cool of me because I didn't know if she was married or not. Here's what I did. You guys, man. Dude, Aretha Franklin in 1996. I don't know. Just Google Aretha Franklin 1996. I don't know if she was sick. I don't know what was going on. My God, she was huge. She was like 4 bills easy. I mean, she was massive. She lived like another 10, 12 years, so whatever. Anyway, Chicago has been chosen as the home for the 2024 Democratic National Convention. The convention will be held from August 19th to 22nd of the year 2024. There you go. Who cares? Who cares about party politics anymore? I just think that's a funny place for them. It's like the Democrats are going, yeah, all right. They like the most. We're going to hold our convention in the backyard of Black Lives Matter. How's that? How's that, Republicans? How's that, Fox News? Does that rattle your cage a little bit? Going to get y'all stirred up? Let's see. What else do we got? Whole Foods is trending. I don't know why the story's trending. There's a Whole Foods in San Francisco that's apparently going out of business because of crime. First of all Whole Foods should go out of business. I hate Whole Foods. I got one like half a block away. There is nothing less convenient than having the most convenient store nearest you be a Whole Foods. It's like, are you kidding me? I can't even get a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke. Really? You don't sell those products here? I gotta buy your like weird created in a garage in Austin version of Diet Coke. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I want like real. No, but this is made with, peppermint seed oil. I don't care. I want Diet Coke. I like what they make Diet Coke with. I don't want it made in some fucking hippie dude's bathtub in Austin. What between gigs in his band, he also sells like, hippie organic Diet Coke for sale at Whole Foods. No. Anyway, the Whole Foods in San Francisco is closing. I don't know. I was in San Francisco a few years back. I like San Francisco. I've only been there twice, but I like San Francisco. It's beautiful. It's a tough city. It's a tough city to be in, especially if you're a flatlander like me. A lot of hills, man. You're constantly climbing hills. You're constantly walking up steps and oh my God. I do remember a lot of homeless. I do remember being like in the heart of San Francisco. I stayed at a nice hotel. We were doing a convention there. But I do remember like walking out on the street going, geez, this is friggin' great. There's a lot of like sketchy looking people here. So, that's the problem with the Whole Foods. I'll tell you one thing they do have there. Pull it up on Google Maps. You can find it. There is a Walgreens in downtown San Francisco that is like the most amazing Walgreens. It's like if Walgreens went for Halloween as a Walmart. It's like a gigantic, it's so cool. I don't know if that place is still in business. It's probably closed. It's been a few years. But Whole Foods is definitely going out of business. Or at least they're shutting it down until they can get a handle. They're saying that it's for the safety of their employees. Whole Foods corporate is saying, it's not safe for our employees. Okay. Tupperware is trending today. Tupperware. Do you guys have Tupperware? As I look over at my little thing, I got one Tupperware. You know what I got? I got a whole bunch of Faberware. I got a whole bunch of Gladware. I got like one Tupperware thing. And honestly, now that I'm looking at it, that might be like bootleg Tupperware. Tupperware. Did your mom used to have Tupperware parties? I don't know if my mom had Tupperware, but I do remember Tupperware parties being a thing, though. It was like some lady would come with a giant box. It's for lettuce. Your lettuce won't go bad. Everybody had Tupperware. And then Glad got into the game? Because seriously, I go to the grocery store and I buy these little disposable Glad things. I had never really thought about Tupperware until just now when this story broke. Why? Because Tupperware is going out of business, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. There is no more room in this United States of America for a fine patriotic product like Tupperware. I don't know what they did. Maybe if they went and got one of them trans people to start endorsing and having, maybe if the trans community took over Tupperware parties, they could save it. I don't know. Tupperware shares fell by nearly 50% on Monday, following a bleak warning that its future is murky. In a regulatory filing late Friday, the container maker said there's substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern, and that it's working with financial advisors to find financing in order to stay afloat. Tupperware said it won't have enough cash to fund its operations if it doesn't secure additional money. The company said it is exploring potential layoffs and is reviewing its real estate portfolio for potential money saving. A real estate portfolio? What does that mean? Like the guy at the top of the Tupperware empire's got like 5 houses, but there are no brick and mortar Tupperware stores. What do you mean the Tupperware real estate? What? You do this in people's living rooms. You don't own those people's living rooms. You don't think you do you? Because you don't. That's not your actual store. The New York Stock Exchange also warned that Tupperware stock is in danger of being delisted for not filling a required annual report. Tupperware has embarked on a journey to turn around our operations, and today marks a critical step in addressing our capital and liquidity positions. That the CEO, Miguel Fernandez, said in a press release. The company is doing everything in its power to mitigate the impacts of recent events, and we are taking immediate actions to seek additional financing and address our financial position. The 77-year-old business has been struggling in recent years to maintain its relevance against rivals. Rivals? So like all like what I just mentioned, like Glad. Okay. I mean, Tupperware is good. Tupperware is good stuff. Oh man. Fuck, dude. I don't know if you were like me, but growing up, I lived in fear of my mom not being able to find a Tupperware lid. Oh my God. Where's the lid for the Tupperware? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I can't keep track of them. Because I used to use Tupperware bowls for cereal because they were bigger and they were deeper. So you could just pull your cereal in there instead of just having to go back for more cereal. I could knock through about 75% of a cereal box in one sitting. That was me as a kid. So I'd use the big Tupperware. And I didn't use the lid, so I never took the lid. So I felt lids were always missing. And I never understood how the lids were always missing because I never used the lids. It's very, very frustrating for me as a child. So anyway, Tupperware is going away. Probably. Who knows? I don't know. There's always hope that the trans people will take over it, right? And suddenly it'll become a thing. It'll become so kishy to have a trans Tupperware. Tupperware is quality though, right? It is quality. Like it's better than the stuff you buy at the store. It's is it microwave safe? Not the early Tupperware, because I remember melted Tupperware in the microwave. I remember that. I remember late 70s, early 80s melted Tupperware. NFL Sunday Ticket is also trending today. The NFL Sunday Ticket for years and years and years was on DirecTV. Not no more. No. They've moved over to YouTube. So if you like the NFL Sunday Ticket, you can jump over to YouTube. They finally made some announcements regarding what the new YouTube Sunday Ticket service is going to look like. So if you're interested, come on, I'll let you know. NFL Sunday Ticket Red Zone prices have now been announced by YouTube TV ahead of the 2023 season. The NFL Sunday Ticket is coming to YouTube in 2023, and the pricing structure was officially released Tuesday morning. Hey, that'd be just now. According to David Pierce of TheVerge.com, there are multiple ways to sign up for the NFL Sunday Ticket through YouTube TV, and different price points come along with it. How exciting. For those who are already subscribed to YouTube TV, all right, you guys already have YouTube TV. We're talking to you. You got YouTube TV? You subscribe? Okay, we're talking to you. It will cost $249 for the basic package during the pre-sale period, which runs until June 6th. The cost goes up to $289 with the inclusion of the Red Zone channel. So if you want the Red Zone channel, like you just want, who's going to just get basic? Well, I hate these prices. Why can't you just buy individual games? Why don't they let you just buy games? You know, if you want to charge $25 for a game, you know, a specific out-of-market game that I want to watch, why wouldn't they do that? Because they know they can make more money making everybody buy every game. It's not actually about serving the customer. It's about maximizing profit on their end. Because they just probably paid $100 billion for this package. So don't expect anything better than DirecTV was going. In fact, I would expect something less because they way overpaid for this. When really all we want out of market people, which is the whole purpose of the Sunday Ticket, out of market people, all we really want are select games, the games that we want. I don't care that I can watch every Detroit Lion game. I don't care. All right, let's see what else. So what are some of the other things? All right, so you can get just, if you have YouTube TV, you can get just the Sunday Ticket for $249. And that doesn't include the Red Zone. They're going to upcharge you for the Red Zone if you want that. That's going to be $289. YouTube TV subscribers who purchase outside of the pre-sale period will pay $349. So if you wait till after June 6th, you're going to pay $349, even if you're a YouTube subscriber. That's right. There's no courtesy for an already subscribed person, someone who's been on board with this model for years, maybe. You're an early adopter. Fuck you. You're still paying an extra $100. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks. And they word it like, and you'll have the opportunity. They word it in ways that are, trying to conceal the fact that this is really a big to the people. So it's more expensive with less options. Remember there used to be 2 Red Zone channels? I think there was, now there's only going to be one. I think DirecTV I think the NFL had their own Red Zone channel and DirecTV had their own Red Zone channel. Now there's just one. So now there's 50% less Red Zone options. YouTube TV subscribers who purchase outside the pre-sale period will pay $349 for the basic NFL Sunday package and $389 if they want Red Zone included. For non-YouTube TV subscribers, that's me, for non-YouTube TV subscribers who instead sign up through YouTube's primetime channels, it'll cost $349 for the basic package and $389 with Red Zone included during the pre-sale. Failing to purchase inside the pre-sale period will cost non-YouTube TV subscribers $449, $100. I hate this. It's just football, man. I just want to watch games. Just let me put my debit card in there, and if I want to buy, say, purchase game, like a pay-per-view movie. Yes, I want to watch this game. Should do that with all sports. And it will. It'll get to that. At some point, that's how it'll be done. But right now, it's a cash grab. Right now, it's new technology. They're trying to figure out how to maximize. Somebody, a competitor, will rise up and offer all of these things that we really want, and then the industry will change as a whole. But not until the competitor rises up. So we're a couple of years from that. Sunday Ticket. Dwayne Haskins is trending. We talked about this yesterday. We talked about a lawsuit that was filed on behalf of Dwayne Haskins. His estate is filing this. We talked about it yesterday. We didn't have many details. Now we got details. Dwayne Haskins, you might remember, the Ohio State quarterback, first-round draft pick of the Washington Redskins, was with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the time of his death. He died a year ago this week, died down there in Florida training with some Steeler teammates, was crossing the road early in the morning and was struck by a dump truck and killed. Dwayne Haskins, dead. Now, the details around the situation had always been a little bit murky. And yesterday's news that there was a lawsuit claiming that there was some foul play involved didn't have a whole lot of details that I could share with you. But today we got the details. Today we are, okay, are you ready for what the family is saying happened to Dwayne Haskins on the day he died? Dwayne Haskins was drugged, blackmailed, and robbed before the NFL quarterback was struck and killed by a dump truck on South Florida Highway a year ago Sunday. The lawsuit alleges that 4 of the 14 defendants, 14 people have been named as defendants in this case. The lawsuit alleges that 4 of the 14 defendants, Carly Payton, Joey Smith, Miriam Yazin, and Wysal Yazin, drugged Haskins to blackmail and rob him, causing him or her contributing to the cause him. They drugged Haskins, quote, to blackmail and rob him, causing him and or contributing to cause him severe injury or death. Oh, Jesus, legal speak. Got to read it slow. The suit does not include details about the allegations. However, we do have some. The lawsuit alleges that Oriel Patino, the driver of the dump truck, Oriel, just a dude, it's early in the morning, he's driving a dump truck, he's probably working his ass off. Dump truck driver kills him, that's who Oriel is. The lawsuit also alleges that Oriel Patino, the driver of the dump truck, was driving carelessly, exceeded the speed limit, and failed to maintain the brakes and tires on his truck. Some bad brakes and bad tires. And the lawsuit does not claim that Patino, who declined comment for this story, was involved in the drugging, blackmailing, or robbing. Okay, so those are 2 separate instances. So they're saying that the dump truck driver who ran over Dwayne Haskins and killed him, he didn't have anything to do with why he was running away in the first place. And that was because he had been kidnapped, drugged, and was being blackmailed and robbed. Forget about robbed. Because apparently he had like a super expensive watch on that he was not found with. Somebody took his watch but you know, I don't know. The lawsuit does not claim that Patino, who declined Haskins, the 2019 first-round pick of the Washington Commanders, who was with the Steelers in 2021, died of blunt force trauma after he was struck while walking across the westbound lanes of Interstate 595 near Fort Lauderdale. Medical examiner reports said 2 blood alcohol content samples from Haskins showed he was wasted. He was 4 times the legal limit. Okay? So his blood alcohol was 4 times the legal limit in Florida. And they found large amounts of ketamine. Ketamine is the date rape drug. So, and he went out to dinner. He worked out with his Steeler teammates. He went out to dinner with his cousin. After dinner, his cousin and him went out clubbing, and they were partying by their own, by the cousins. They were out, they were having a good time. They were drinking, they were partying, they were meeting with people, they were socializing. And I think what the family is trying to say is that at some point, then later in the night, they got into a fight with some people. So the cousin and Haskins got into a fight in a parking lot outside the club. They were separated, the cousin and Haskins. That's the last the cousin saw of Haskins. So they're saying that, I don't know, this is crazy. This story is getting crazy. Haskins also tested positive for ketamine. A member of the Steelers told police that Haskins went to dinner with his cousin after training with teammates and then later went to a club. They drank heavily, and at some point they got into a fight and were separated. That's what I was telling you. That's what I was saying. As to what occurred in the hours before Dwayne was killed, many questions remain unanswered. Rick Elsley of the Elsley law firm who filed suit said in a statement, "It is believed that Dwayne was targeted and drugged as part of a blackmail and robbery conspiracy. In fact, his highly expensive watch was stolen from him shortly before his death." In a 911 call released last April, Haskins' wife said his car had run out of gas. He was also found with a female companion who was one of the people named in the suit. So he was in his car, not with his wife, he was in his car with, that's a messed up story. Developing ... as they say. I can't wait to see what the latest is in the Dwayne had. I don't know what this is. I mean, this is a pretty fantastic story. If this was a story about, kidnapping a football player, and that's pretty fantastic. There's a whole lot of moving parts there. Also just an unbelievable accident that could have been avoided among a young, moneyed athlete making a bad decision while under the influence of intoxicant. That's the other story. Maybe that was just it. We don't know. Developing ... Also developing ... Oh, this is making me mad. We are in Ted Lasso season. We are 4 episodes into Ted Lasso, the new season. We're 4 episodes in. I got my Lasso on. I watched the latest episode last night. I'm totally down with Lasso and the Lasso way of being. And I got to wake up this morning and I got to see a story about Jason Sudeikis' ex-wife, Olivia Wilde, making noise about him not paying child support. Bitch, sit down. I hate Olivia Wilde. I used to love Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis used to be, were they ever number one? Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell have pretty much always been my favorite Hollywood couple these last few years. But Jason Sudeikis and Olivia Wilde were certainly in the running. They were in the conversation. And then after 9-10 years of just this really cute little family that they started, this really lovely thing, she runs off with Harry Styles. You bitch. And then you break his heart to the point that he goes and turns in a tour de force performance in season 1 of Ted Lasso as a heartbroken man whose wife did him wrong, and he's overcoming all of these things with just endless optimism. That's what you did. That's what you did. You broke his heart. You ran off with Harry Styles. He went and made Ted Lasso, tried to give the world optimism, tried to give the world hope, and guess what? The world went, thank you, Jason Sudeikis. And now we all love Jason Sudeikis, and we hate you, Olivia Wilde. And guess what? Guess what, Olivia? Harry Styles got tired of you. He did. Where's your boyfriend now, Olivia? Dumb. Olivia Wilde files bombshell in custody battle against Jason Sudeikis. He's not paying his child support. Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Sure. Oh my God. I bet they're eating, ramen noodles and... I mean, she only made a couple of million for that film that she directed last summer. I mean, how can she be making... Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis' tumultuous custody battle continues. Last week, the Don't Worry, Darling director, that's her, that's Olivia, 39, and her legal team called for a judgment on child support, as per documents obtained by The Blast. The Booksmart filmmaker, it's another movie she made. That's actually a good movie. She made that movie back when I was still on her side. The Booksmart filmmaker alleges that she is incurring most of the expenses for her And the Ted Lasso actor's 2 children, Otis and Daisy. Otis is 8, Daisy is 6. The cutest names. They were such a cute couple. And then they had these cute little kids with these cute little kid names. Yeah, Otis is going to be stupid at 18. It's going to be, here comes old dumb Otis. But at 6, Otis is adorable. Olivia claims that Sudeikis, 47, who she was in a relationship with between 2011 and 2020, 9 years. She says that he is not currently paying child support to me, despite my request through counsel that we agree upon an interim support amount to avoid further litigation in this matter. Yeah, he's a deadbeat. That's what you're doing. Now you're calling Ted Lasso a deadbeat. Good luck with that, lady. Court of public opinion is not going to be on your side there. Wild added, while Jason and I have been splitting certain expenses for the children, such as their school tuition, I have been bearing 100% of the cost of the children's care when they are with me, including, but not limited to, their food, clothing, childcare, extracurricular activities, and transportation costs. Are you working on a complicated divorce? You make him. She's demanding that he pay him She wants $500K right now. I don't know what he's gonna do. Maybe he can just write it. I don't know, but whatever. You certainly, I do not believe in any way, shape, or form that Jason Sudeikis believes that his children are going without because he hasn't been cutting regular checks to Olivia Wilde, right? Going without in their Central Park West apartment, in their private schools, and their chauffeur. This is not like a normal. You know what I mean? It's not like normal people where the husband's not paying the child support because, I don't know, between gigs or something. This is a different thing, and she's embarrassing him publicly, and I don't like it. She seems like she's angry. I was reading something a couple of weeks ago about Olivia Wilde and how she didn't really handle her movie. She thought her movie was going to make her a big star. She thought that movie, Don't Worry, Darling, or whatever, was going to be like her breakthrough, and she was going to be the greatest female director of all time, whatever, that whole thing. And it didn't work out that way. As a matter of fact, most people were like, that movie kind of sucked. And then Harry Styles dumped her, and so she's like, now she's got no husband. And not only does she have no husband, but she is publicly the woman who broke Ted Lasso's heart, right? Which is not anywhere that anybody wants to be. Her movie didn't bomb, but it wasn't like this big thing like she expected it to be. Harry Styles, her 15-year-old boyfriend, he decides to up and leave. She's angry, and now she's acting like she's the victim here. You ran off with Harry Styles, young lady. White also claims that Sudeikis is significantly wealthier than her. Oh, so that's what it's all about. You just want half. You just married a guy and, decided to run off with a boy bander after 10 years and 2 kids. And now you just want half. Does it work like that? Like, if it's so obviously the woman who ran off, she very publicly ran off with Harry Styles. We know how the marriage ended. She ran off. Does she still get half? That doesn't seem right. Does it? That does not seem right. I could see if he ran off that she should get half. But if she's the one who desecrates the marriage vows and runs off with a 17-year-old British dude in a dress, is she still... Oh, I don't think she should be. That's just common sense, right? She shouldn't be. She left the marriage. She didn't get nothing. She gave up. She quit. Anyway, there you go. I just don't like it. By the way, this season of Ted Lasso is very good. I watched the first 10 minutes of the first episode. I think there are 3 episodes in, 4 episodes in. I don't know. I'm all caught up though. But when I went and watched the first 10 minutes of the first episode, I was like, I was prepared for this to be like okay, here it is. They jumped the shark. Jumped the shark when Nate became the manager of West Ham. I was all set to have that. Ted Lasso was good until Nate became the manager at West. No, I was wrong. This season's been great. This season is really good. They're going out. It's final season, right? I think it's the final season. They're going out. They're going out with a very, very strong plot. What else do we have here? Imaginary nudes is a story that I saw earlier today. Apparently this is a thing on Reddit. So some dudes, people sell, chicks sell pictures. Hey, you want to see me topless? Send me $5 to my Venmo. That kind of thing. What do you want, folks? It's the world we live in. All right, so that's a thing. So a couple of college students, they started like selling pictures and posing as these women, all of these different girls. And it turns out that all of the pictures that they created were AI. They're just digital. They're just like digital pictures. And nobody knew. They were so good. They were so lifelike that they actually started raking in big money selling pictures of non-existent women to poor schlubs online. Anyway, there you go. I could read the whole story, but that's basically it. Amsterdam is trending because they want to get rid of that. Here's something they want to do in Amsterdam that's interesting. Amsterdam, the red light district, it's like, man, you go to Amsterdam, you party. Sounds like a lot of drunk people waiting in line and the smell of urine in the streets. That doesn't appeal to me. Amsterdam. Just go to Denver. What is it that... Anyway, so Amsterdam's got the red light district, and it's a historic red light district, and gentrification is creeping in, and I guess they want to put Jamba Juices and stuff, because it's a big tourist area, and it's occupied by all of these brothels and these whorehouses and dirty bookstores, and kind of like Times Square. Think about what Times Square was in 1985 and what Times Square is today, right? So they want to kind of do that. So the mayor or president or prime minister, I don't know, some muckety-muck there in Amsterdam, they've decided that they're going to relocate the red light district, and what they're going to do is they're going to build like a super mall, like a giant mall, like a giant whorehouse mall, where you're just going to walk into this mall and it's just going to be all the stores instead of it being a Gap and all that stuff. It's going to be like this whorehouse, that whorehouse, whatever. So people got a problem with that. Like there's a lot of people like, no, we like the women in the windows with the red light. They like that. But then big business is all like, yeah, but we can develop this land. We can put in like a Michelin steakhouse right here for tourists. Other people don't want the mall going up. They're like, you can't build a mall. You can't build a sex mall. Right? People don't want that because people just don't want things. I don't know what side I'm on. Sex mall is kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd partake, but I'd walk around a sex mall. Hell, I go to normal malls all the time and don't buy anything. But I'd check out a sex mall. I'd be like, that's weird. Hey, why is it that every time... Here's the other thing that I don't... This is why I don't think I want to go to Amsterdam. Going back, my entire life, we've always seen, depictions of video news reports, whatever, of the girls in the windows in Amsterdam. You see that a lot. And in Amsterdam's red light district, and there's always some naked fat lady smoking in a window. And I'm like, no, that is not going to get me to go to Amsterdam. Maybe give me a Pam Anderson. But she's like a lunch lady. You're you're offering sex with lunch ladies. I don't know, it just Amsterdam never appealed to me. Let's see here. Also trending right now, sex mall coming to Amsterdam. Maybe, who knows? Millie Bobby Brown. Or is it Miley? I don't know. It's Miley Cyrus, but is this Miley Bobby Brown or is it Millie? Are we calling Millie Miley now? I don't know. Is that a thing or is Miley actually Miley? Is Miley Cyrus actually Miley Cyrus or should we be saying Millie Cyrus? It's Miley, right? That's the name. That's the intended name, the intended pronunciation, Miley. So who's this? Who's this kid from Stranger Things? Is it Millie? Millie Bobby Brown? I know she ain't Bobby Brown. That's weird. It's weird that she's got, the name of the guy who got Whitney Houston hooked on crack. Yeah, I said it. I still believe that to be the case. Anyway, Millie Bobby Brown, who plays 11 on Stranger Things, she's in the news because she's 19. She's 19 years old, and she's announced that she is engaged. She's engaged to a fine young man by the name of Jacob Bongiovanni. Yeah, I'm a good Italian boy. Here. I think we got pictures of the couple. Let me show you. Okay. Hold on. Give me a second here. Siddiq and Wild. All right, here we go. Yeah, we'll show you this picture. Handsome couple. As a matter of fact, this is one of them relationships where I think the dude might be more attractive than the woman. Have you ever seen that where the dude is actually prettier than the girl? And the girl's pretty. This is not a knock on the girl. It's just, my God, it's not supposed to be like that. All right, so here they are. This is the lovely couple. 19-year-old Millie Bobby Brown is marrying 20-year-old Jake Bongiovanni. They met online. They were friends. And then they hooked up, and well, look at him. He's a handsome young man. I can see why. Here's the interesting thing. Jake Bongiovanni ain't just some kid who works at the Foot Locker. Jake Bongiovanni is, other people pronounce his last name Bon Jovi, but it's actually Bongiovanni. Look at him. Dude, look at him. Yeah, that's John Bon Jovi's kid. That Jake Bongiovanni is John Bon Jovi. And his longtime John Bon Jovi's got a good family thing going on there. Because John Bon Jovi could have been like Mick Jagger or Steven Tyler, but he seems like he married some woman and they stayed married, and I don't know, whatever. Anyway, here's the kid. This is who Millie Bobby Brown is marrying. She's marrying into that Bon Jovi money, or as it's pronounced in real life, Bon Giovanni money. All right. Congrats to you two crazy kids. You ain't gonna make it. You will absolutely, look, with all due respect, you will absolutely not make it. Okay? Look, Millie Bobby Brown and Jake Bongiovanni, you two are not gonna be holding each other's hands in the nursing home as you slip into the next world. That is not gonna, I know you think it is. I know right now you're like, I'm 19 and you're 20, and but no, that was gonna happen. It's not what's gonna happen. You're going to start to discover, you're not going to like him as much. Right now, you like him a whole lot. But man, you're going to start to notice things. And maybe, personally, I think because of the pressure cooker world that you both exist in, I think that it'll be shorter than a normal relationship might. I give it 2 years. 2 years. Over under on the marriage of 19-year-old Millie Bobby Brown to 20-year-old Jake Bon Jovi. Over under is 2 years. I am taking the under. 2 years after they get married. Ooh, it should be 2.5. I feel like it should be 2.5 years. I don't know, whatever. Look, I hope I'm wrong because I, as you all know, root for love. But in this particular case, I'm just looking at it and I'm going, if I got to lay money down, they're not going to make it. American Horror Story. AHS is trending. Do you guys like American Horror Story? I used to love American Horror Story. I liked the first couple of seasons. And then I got into this thing where I was only watching every other season. I don't know how that happened, but somehow I only watched every other season for a run. The American Horror Story is like season 12 now. It's been on forever. It's really good. Sometimes it's good, It got, I think that Ryan Murphy is a very scary dude. Ryan Murphy, the creator of American Horror Story. If you've ever seen American Horror Story, then you know that it's bloody, it's gory, it's violent, it's vulgar, it's just, it's gross. There's a lot of spooky things, a lot of body horror. Body horror is something that I do not like. That the American Horror franchise has, whether it's a dude with I'm growing another arm out of my head, body horror, that kind of stuff. Babies in jars, body horror. Ugh. So I didn't really get into that. I think he's weird. I think that there's something very broken about Ryan Murphy because he can do that so well, but then also he can switch gears and do Glee. That's right. The same guy who did Glee did some of the most violent and disturbing horror imagery in television history with American Horror Story. So anyway, season 12 is coming. Why is season 12 being hyped? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Kim Kardashian will star in season 12 of American Horror Story. Kim Kardashian will be doing her first scripted acting work. She'll be Emma Roberts, I think, is also in it with her this year. That's the thing about American Horror Story. Ryan Murphy uses the same cast of actors. Every season, it's a different story. Every season, it's a different It's a different thing, right? But it's the same actors playing different roles. He uses the same stable of actors every year when he writes whatever the horror story is going to be for that year. So Emma Roberts is a regular, and he has on occasion folded in some pretty interesting casting decisions. For instance, Hotel. I think it was season 10. Hotel featured the acting debut of Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, when Lady Gaga was just a musician, you know? And now we know that she's an actress. You know, did she nominated for Star is Born? Anyway, before that, it was on this show that Ryan Murphy went, let's let Lady Gaga act. So Kim Kardashian will be in the new season of American Horror Story. Kim Kardashian will star in the 12th season of FX American Horror Story. This according to The Hollywood Reporter. The multi-hyphenate pop culture star will take a stab at acting in the Ryan Murphy-created series with a role written specifically for her. Kardashian will join Emma Roberts in the season, which will be written and showrun by Haley Pfeiffer. Emma Roberts is really good. She's in all of these. Emma Roberts, I think, has been pretty much in every one. Who's the other? You know who else is always in it? Who's the redheaded lady that we like? Redheaded lady. Coach Taylor's wife from Friday Night Lights. Nashville. She was in that. Connie Britton. Connie Britton's in these two. She's one of the stables. Emma Roberts is Julia Roberts' niece. She's the daughter of Eric Roberts. She's good. She's really good. Kim is among the biggest and brightest television stars in the world, and we are thrilled to welcome her to the American Horror Story family, Murphy told the outlet. Emma and I are excited about collaborating with this true force in the culture. Haley Pfeiffer has written a fun, stylish, and ultimately terrifying role, especially for Kim. And this season is ambitious and unlike anything we've ever done. They say that going into every season. Every season is going to be unlike anything. I mean, could you imagine you're doing promotion for the new season and you're like, yeah, I fell off my game with this season. I mean, this is probably the worst season that we've done. It doesn't really make sense. I wrote it. I look at it, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. You'll never hear that. You'll never hear that. What you'll hear in place of that is, we made some really brave choices this year, and I think it's the best season yet. Okay, here's one. Fire Festival. That's right, Fire Festival. Remember Billy McFarland? You know the Fire Festival? You guys watch either the Netflix or Hulu Fire Festival documentaries. Billy McFarland was a young man, a young go-getter, who, one of these bottle service douchebags in New York City's society scene. Nobody seemed to know where the money came from, but he was, what do they say? Fake it till you make it. And he created this scam. It was a scam. It was a concert. It's going to be on Pablo Escobar's former private island. And if you pay $100,000 or whatever, it was ridiculous amounts of money to prepay. There were all of these dudes, big stars that were going to be performing. And it became like an Instagram thing. It was, are you going to Fire Festival? It became a thing. It became like, douchebag Valhalla. It was where like every douchebag in America on Instagram who thinks that that's, the relevant society. Those people all wanted to go to Fire Festival. And it was a scam. They were promised luxury accommodations and they got FEMA tents. They were promised, fine cuisine, fine food, all this stuff. They got cheese sandwiches on styrofoam plates. Where did the money go? It was a complete debacle. It was such a major F up and con that, as I said, both Netflix and Hulu made competing documentaries about the Fire Festival. So if you're unfamiliar with the Fire Festival, if you're unfamiliar with who Billy McFarland is, you can go to either Hulu or Netflix and you can get all caught up on this story. But guess what? Billy McFarland is out of jail and he's doing Fire Festival 2. That's right. He's doing it again. Billy McFarland announces that Fyre Fest 2 is in the works. Let's see here. According to Billy McFarland, Fyre Festival is gearing up to make its return. First of all, here's what this means. This means nothing. This means that Billy McFarland, who got out of jail, he was sentenced to 6 years in jail for the con, served like 3.5. He got out of jail last year. And you got nothing going on. He's Billy McFarland. He's a lion sack of shit. He's obviously a douchebag, big talker, name-dropping piece of garbage. We all know these kinds of people. So some reporter found him somewhere and said, "Hey, Billy, what do you got going on?" And he went, "Well, I got a lot of stuff going on. I got people interested in doing a Fire Festival number 2. Fire Festival number 2! And now I'm talking about it like it's going to be a thing. It ain't going to be a thing, okay? Billy McFarland is talking about it being a thing because Billy McFarland needs people to talk about him. According to Billy McFarland, Fire Festival is gearing up to make its return. Yesterday, the entrepreneur took to Twitter to say, Fire Festival 2 is finally happening. Did Fire Festival 1 happen? Did anybody show up other than Ja Rule? Which, gotta be honest, wasn't a draw then, probably not a draw now. McFarland is notorious for advertising Fire Festival in 2017 alongside his then partner Ja Rule as a luxury music festival on Pablo Escobar's former private island in the Bahamas. It was promoted by high-profile celebrities and influencers such as Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, and Emily Ratajkowski, with an orange square on social media and reportedly had artists like Migos, Lil Yachty, Pusha T, Blink-182, and many more booked to perform. But once attendees arrived, they were greeted with emergency relief tents for lodging, soaked mattresses, and styrofoam lunch plates that contained cheese sandwiches and wilted salad. McFarland swindled millions from investors when he was pitching the event, and the fraudulent disaster was amplified so loud that both Netflix and Hulu made documentaries about its shortcomings. No information has been announced on when or where the event will take place, but if it does actually go down, we'll see if McFarland and his actually have their ducks in a row. All right, there you go. Fire Festival 2. It's not coming. Seriously, it's not coming. It's not going to happen. Who the fuck? What's going to give him? Michael Jordan is trending. Michael Jordan is trending because a bunch of teenagers. Michael Jordan's such an idiot. I say this wearing my Michael Jordan warm-up jersey. He is such an idiot. I wish Michael Jordan was what I want Michael Jordan to be, but Michael Jordan is not. Michael Jordan's the best basketball player who has ever walked the earth, and that's it. I mean, he's just... he's so disappointing. You know, you just want him to be Superman, and he's not. You know, what was his famous line? You know, white people wear gym shoes too. Whatever. And I don't want him to be a troublemaker. I'm not saying that I want him to be Kaepernick or anything, but Michael, he's just an odd duck, man. He's a terrible person. Like, he's really mean to the people around him. Like, he's super competitive about everything. So that's weird. That would be hard to be around. But here's the other thing. His ego is so insane. Here's the funny thing about Michael Jordan. And this is why he's trending right now. Michael Jordan has a home in Chicago. Well, he lived in Chicago. He's a bull. He's got the Michael Jordan family mansion where the kids grew up and all that kind of stuff is in Chicago. It's 56,000 square foot. God, is that... I don't know if bougie is the right word, but man, unnecessary. Just wildly unnecessary. So wildly unnecessary at 50,000 square feet. It has been for sale since 2012. That's right. The Michael Jordan home has been for sale for over a decade because nobody wants a 56,000 foot home. That's just a weird thing. I don't know. Maybe he's holding out hope that Justin Fields will swoop in and I don't know. But the house has been for sale forever. And it turns out that local neighborhood kids, and I can't believe it took this long, but local neighborhood kids have been turning Michael Jordan's 56,000 foot Chicago home into a party place. He's got movie theaters, two. There's two. What, in case the kids want to, seriously, 2 movie theaters? 2 movie theaters. He had, best of my knowledge, he had a wife he never talked to and 2 kids that's it. They need 2 movie theaters, bowling alleys. It's got basketball courts, it's got batting cages. I mean, 56,000 feet. There's a lot of room for shit. Let's see if we can see his house. Let's see a picture of it. It's not even a nice house. It's a stupid house. It's a stupid house. It's just a dumb rich guy house. It's just a dumb rich guy. Look how rich I am. It's okay. It's not even particularly interesting architecturally. It's just like, yeah. Anyway, moving on. I can't believe it took this long. The house has been for sale for years. I don't know that he sometimes lived there. I don't know if Juanita lives. Juanita's his wife. I don't know if Juanita lives there. I don't know what's going on. But I imagine it's empty a lot of the time. And the neighborhood kids have started throwing parties. Also, okay, so this is kind of cool. Here's another story coming out of that neck of the woods. NASCAR has announced let me pull this up. Let me make this. Because this is kind of cool. I kind of like this. I wish it wasn't NASCAR. I wish it was Formula One. But, beggars can't be choosers. This is going to be awesome. Here, I'll show this to you. Are you guys NASCAR fans? I don't know. Probably not, right? Some of you might be. All right, so NASCAR has announced a race, a new race in downtown Chicago, right there through Millennium Park and up Lakeshore Drive. And for those of you who, like me, are familiar with this layout, this is going to be awesome. Now, for years, we've wanted Indy cars. We've thought Indy cars, or I think did they do an Indy car race in the 80s? I'm not sure. But Formula One would be cool. Formula One is going to do Vegas, and I understand that. Vegas got it. It's Vegas. That's fine. But yeah, NASCAR. So it looks like Chicago officials released details about rolling road closures leading up to the 4th of July weekend races. All right, so that'll be cool. 4th of July weekend. Add to the fireworks and the crowds coming down there for fireworks. Now we're going to have NASCARs. I'll watch that race. I think that'll be cool. That'll be interesting. NASCAR was never. I'm pleased to see the success of NASCAR in Chicago because NASCAR didn't exist in Chicago my entire life. NASCAR didn't exist in Chicago until I moved to Texas, and it coincided with me working at a radio station here in Texas that had a contract with NASCAR to run the races on the weekend. So we had a lot of NASCAR. So I started getting involved in NASCAR and knowing people and kind of watching it and getting into it. I much prefer Formula One because I don't really like ovals are boring, but whatever. But I came to be familiar, not like a fan who could talk minutia about the sport and all that, but familiar enough with interviewing drivers and knowing certain people and all of that. So I was rooting for it. So then all of a sudden, like at some point in the mid-2000s, Chicago added a NASCAR race at the Joliet Speedway, and that made sense because Joliet's very NASCAR. But now downtown, that's pretty cool. That's going to be awesome. The NASCARs are going to be rolling into Millennium Park, racing right up and down the Lakeshore Drive. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, not going to do that story. Sorry, can't do that one. There's a story. You guys, I've had this story for 2 days. It keeps popping back up. And I'm like, oh, maybe if, there's nothing else to talk about. It's a story about a girl in Mississippi who's arrested because it's a bestiality story, and it has to do with dogs, and it's gross. But what I find really confusing about it is the girl. The girl does not look like this is something she'd be doing. You know what I mean? Like if I were to say, oh yeah, there was this girl, she got arrested for having relations with an animal, you would picture like a crackhead meth lady. I'd do whatever for a rock. You know what I mean? Something like that. This 19-year-old Mississippi is so weird. I don't want to do the story. I've told you enough. I feel gross now. You know what? Google it. Google Mississippi girl dog sex. Okay, we're done. We're moving on. Hey, tonight we're going to get into a little bit of nonsense with old Pugs and Parker. That's right. Tonight at 9:00, the second of 2 streams that I do every single day here. With this one high noon, and then there we go. And then we get into Pugs and Parker. So I am waiting to find out if we have a guest for this evening's Pugs and Parker. If not, I do have something else we want to do. There's an exercise that we've been engaging in. We've been flexing this muscle, this memory muscle, going over all this stuff from 105.3. We found a treasure trove of pictures And I think that it would be fun. Maybe not for you, but for me and James and Emil to just flip through some of these pictures and talk about some of the people. And I can tell you that I was... So, I'm just writing endless journals, just endless stories about things I remember from 105.3. And I'm going to attempt to retrofit that into some thread of a narrative once we start compiling all of these interviews that we've been doing. And when you work this way, and anybody who's written knows this, 90% of it's never going to see the light of day. Because that's just editing. You just free flow yourself and you get everything out, and then you go over it and over it again, and you're like, okay, don't need that, don't need. Oh, that's a great line. Keep that line. You know, that's how it works. I had hit a bit of a wall where I was like, man, I can't really remember any other good stories to tell. I feel like I'm empty. And then I found these pictures, this photo album that's online, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And I got to tell you, it was really a game changer for me. I started to have all of these ideas, and I forgot about that person. Oh, we should talk to that person, you know? So I think maybe tonight we'll go through that. We'll show some of the pictures. We'll tell some of the stories behind some of these pictures, and maybe we'll just have a nice little conversational fun time show tonight. That's 9 o'clock, myself, James Parker, and E. However, I do have one request out for a guest, so that could all change. But you know that the backup could be an interesting show. All right, we'll talk to you guys. We'll talk to you guys then. If not, see you tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon, right? Tomorrow, high noon. We'll be back right here, giving you all the day's news, all the events, the current events, the hot topics, the trends, headlines, all of that stuff. We'll see you, folks. Tip the show if you can. That's another thing that we like to say around here. Help the show continue. Dropping a little something in either the Venmo or the Cash App. You can see it right there. Bye, everybody. Love you. See you tonight. Bye.